February 10, 1722. The day Bartholomew Roberts died. 10:30 a.m. Off Cape Lopez, West Africa. The morning sun caught the red silk of his coat as he stood on deck. Crimson damask, perfectly tailored. Gold chain with a diamond-encrusted cross worth 3,000 pounds catching the light. Red feather in his tricorn hat. 4 pistols tucked into a silk sash. Fine sword at his side. He looked like a king preparing for a coronation, not a battle. Bartholomew Roberts had dressed this way every morning for 3 years. Just in case. Just so that if death came, it would find him magnificent. HMS Swallow was closing the distance. 200 yards. 100 yards. 50 yards. Roberts stood at the rail, watching. His crew at their stations. Cannons loaded. The Royal Navy warship's 60 guns aimed at his royal fortune. He'd never lost a battle. Not once. In 3 years, he'd captured 470 ships. More than Blackbeard, more than Kidd, more than any pirate who'd ever lived. The British fired first. Grapeshot, hundreds of small metal balls, sprayed across the deck. Roberts heard the whistle. Felt something hit his throat. No pain. Just pressure. Then blood. Lots of blood. He collapsed. The legendary Black Bart, the most successful pirate in history, died before he hit the deck. 39 years old. Dressed perfectly. No final words. No dramatic last stand. Just one random piece of metal, wrong place, wrong millisecond. The thing that made him invincible guaranteed he would die fighting. To understand how this happened, we need to go back 3 years. June 1719. The man who didn't want to be a pirate. John Roberts was 37 years old when pirates captured his ship. He'd spent 2 decades as a legitimate sailor. Respectable. Professional. Third mate on the slave ship Princess, transporting human cargo from Africa to the Americas. Legal work. Profitable work. The kind of career that led to a pension and a quiet retirement. Then Captain Howell Davis appeared. Davis was Welsh, like Roberts. A successful pirate with a growing fleet and a reputation for tactical brilliance. When he boarded the Princess off the coast of Ghana, he recognized something in Roberts. Navigation skills, leadership presence, the quiet competence of a man who'd been taking orders from idiots for 20 years. Davis made him an offer. Join us. Roberts refused. He wanted the legitimate life. The pension. The respectability. Join or die, Davis clarified. Roberts chose life. 6 weeks later, Davis was killed in a Portuguese ambush at Principe Island. The crew needed a new captain. Pirate ships were democracies. 1 man, 1 vote. They chose Roberts. He didn't want it. He'd been a pirate for 6 weeks. Forced into it. But the crew saw what Davis had seen. Competence, intelligence, the ability to lead. Roberts accepted with a shrug and a statement. Since I've dipped my hands in muddy water and must be a pirate, it is better being a commander than a common man. That was June 1719. Roberts was 37 years old, an accidental pirate with no experience commanding anything. Within 6 months, he would become the most feared name in 3 oceans. The transformation. Roberts didn't become a pirate. He became a system. Other pirates were chaotic, drunk, undisciplined. They'd capture a ship, drink the cargo, fight among themselves, sink their own vessels through incompetence. Piracy, for most, was a brief, violent carnival that ended in execution or drowning. Roberts approached it like a business. First, he created the Articles, a written code of conduct. Every crew member had to sign it. These weren't suggestions. These were laws. Article 1. Every man shall have equal vote in affairs of moment. Democracy. Radical for 1720. Most naval captains were tyrants. Roberts' crew voted on everything important: where to raid, when to fight, how to divide treasure. Article 3. No person to game at cards or dice for money. Gambling caused fights. Fights caused deaths. Deaths reduced crew efficiency. Banned. Article 4. Lights and candles to be put out at 8 o'clock at night. Early bedtime. Military discipline. Pirates needed to be sharp, not hungover. Article 6. No boy or woman to be allowed amongst them. Roberts had seen crews tear themselves apart over sexual jealousy. Women and boys caused tension. Banned. Article 7. He that shall desert the ship or his quarters in time of battle shall be punished by death or marooning. Cowardice meant death. No exceptions. But the most revolutionary part was Article 9. No man to talk of breaking up their way of living till each has a share of £1,000. A retirement fund. Roberts promised every man enough money to retire comfortably. £1,000 in 1720 was equivalent to roughly £200,000 today. Stay with the crew, follow the rules, and you'd never have to work again. He even created the world's first workers' compensation system. Loss of right arm, 600 pieces of 8. Loss of left arm, 500 pieces of 8. Loss of right leg, 500 pieces of 8. Loss of left leg, 400 pieces of 8. Loss of eye, 100 pieces of 8. Loss of finger, 100 pieces of 8. Get injured in battle? Roberts would pay you. No other captain, pirate or legitimate, offered anything close. The crew loved him. Fierce, absolute loyalty. Then there were Roberts' personal rules. He never drank alcohol, only tea. Unprecedented for a pirate. He held prayer services on Sundays. He maintained a strict moral code, which was deeply ironic for a man who robbed ships for a living. And he dressed for battle like royalty. The red damask coat wasn't vanity. It was psychology. Red silk so blood wouldn't show. Gold chains and diamond crosses to look invincible. Feathered hat, multiple pistols, fine sword. He wanted to appear like a demon king. It worked. Ships surrendered just seeing him. Roberts wanted to die looking magnificent. He believed appearance was armor. Dressed like a king, fought like a demon, one crew member said. The image was the weapon. The numbers. The results were staggering. June 1719 to February 1722. 2 years and 8 months. 470 ships captured. That's more than one ship every 2 days for almost 3 years straight. Compare that to the famous pirates. Blackbeard, Edward Teach roughly 40 ships in 2 years. Captain Kidd, 5 to 6 ships total. Calico Jack and Bonny, dozens across their careers. Henry Morgan, famous for raids on cities, not ship captures. Roberts captured more vessels than all of them combined. By a wide margin. His territory was absurd. He dominated 3 continents simultaneously. The West African coast, where slave ships carried gold and human cargo. The Caribbean islands, where merchant vessels transported sugar and rum. The North American coast from Newfoundland to South Carolina, where fishing fleets and trade ships offered easy prey. He crossed the Atlantic multiple times. Most pirates stayed in one region. Roberts treated the ocean like a highway. His flagship evolved as he grew more powerful. Started with a small sloop, barely armed. Captured the Royal Rover, 32 guns, used that for months. Then in April 1721, he took the Onslow, a heavily armed Royal African Company ship carrying over £8,000 in gold. Roberts renamed it Royal Fortune, upgraded to 42 guns. Made it his flagship. At his peak, he commanded multiple ships simultaneously, a proper fleet. By early 1722, Roberts had 500-plus men across his vessels. He was running a maritime empire. June 1720, Trepassey Harbor. Some raids became legendary. June 1720. Roberts sailed into Trepassey Harbor, Newfoundland. 22 ships were anchored there, an entire fishing fleet. Merchants, traders, fishermen, all packed into one harbor. Roberts flew his black flag openly. No disguise. No subtlety. Every ship surrendered without firing a shot. Roberts captured all 22 vessels in a single day. He kept the best ship for his fleet. Then he burned the other 21. Not for treasure. For terror. The message was clear: I can take anything I want, and you can't stop me. Fishermen watched their livelihoods burn. Roberts sailed away with a new ship and a reinforced legend, the Revenge Flag. But Roberts wasn't just greedy. He was personal. In 1721, the governors of Barbados and Martinique sent pirate hunters after him. Professional naval captains with fast ships and experienced crews. They nearly caught him off Dominica. Roberts took it personally. He designed a new flag. It showed a man, clearly Roberts himself, standing on two skulls. One skull was labeled ABH. The other AMH. A Barbadian's head. A Martiniquean's head. A threat to the governors who dared hunt him. From that point forward, Roberts attacked every ship from Barbados and Martinique with special viciousness. He hanged prisoners from those islands, burned their vessels, stole everything. Pure revenge. The governors had made it personal. Roberts made it permanent. The one mistake. February 10, 1722. Off Cape Lopez on the West African coast. Roberts had been hunting for weeks. His fleet, 3 ships now, 272 men, was anchored near the coast, waiting for prey. The Royal Fortune, his flagship, 42 guns. The Great Ranger, 32 guns. And the Little Ranger, a small sloop for reconnaissance. That morning, Roberts followed his routine. Woke at dawn. Drank tea. Dressed in his full battle outfit, red damask coat, crimson waistcoat and breeches, red feather in his tricorn hat, gold chain with a diamond cross worth 3,000 pounds, 4 pistols in his silk sash, fine sword at his side. He dressed like this every morning, just in case. At 8 a.m., a sail appeared on the horizon. HMS Swallow, a 60-gun Royal Navy warship commanded by Captain Chaloner Ogle, who'd been hunting Roberts for months. But the Swallow was flying a French flag, a common merchant disguise. Roberts made his calculation. Looked like a fat French merchant ship. Easy prey. He sent the Great Ranger to intercept. The Swallow revealed its true colors. British man-of-war. 60 guns. Professional Royal Navy crew. The Great Ranger tried to run. The Swallow chased it down and captured it within hours. Roberts watched from the Royal Fortune. He'd just lost 1/3 of his fleet. Now he faced a choice. The winds were favorable. He could run. The Royal Fortune was fast, and the Swallow had just spent hours chasing the Great Ranger. Roberts could escape, rebuild, fight another day. Or he could fight a 60-gun warship with his 42-gun sloop. Every logical calculation said run. Roberts chose to fight. The fatal logic. Why? Pride was part of it. Roberts had never run from a fight. His entire legend was built on being invincible, fearless, unstoppable. Running would shatter that image. The crew was watching. If their captain fled from one British warship, what did that make them? Cowards. Roberts had built loyalty through strength. Showing weakness now would destroy everything. He believed in his legend. 3 years, 470 ships, never defeated. The red coat, the gold chains, the diamond cross, they'd always worked. Ships surrendered just seeing him. Why would today be different? And there was something else, something darker. Roberts knew he'd been lucky. 3 years was an eternity for a pirate. Most died within months. He'd survived through skill, preparation, and ruthless efficiency. But he also knew the odds. Piracy was a short career. A merry life and a short one, he told his crew many times. Maybe he wanted to go out fighting, dressed like a king, rather than dying old and forgotten. So he ordered the Royal Fortune to attack. 10 a.m. The Royal Fortune turned toward HMS Swallow. Roberts stood on deck, visible in his red coat. The crew prepared cannons. Distance closed. 200 yards. 100 yards. 50 yards. 10:30 a.m. HMS Swallow fired first. All 60 guns on one side, a broadside. Not cannonballs meant to sink ships. Grape shot. Small metal balls, hundreds of them, designed to kill crew members. The grape shot sprayed across the Royal Fortune's deck like lethal rain. One piece, just one among hundreds, hit Bartholomew Roberts in the throat. Severed his carotid artery. He grabbed his neck. Blood sprayed. He collapsed. Dead before he hit the deck. 39 years, 8 months, 24 days old. Time of death, approximately 10:30 a.m., February 10, 1722. The most successful pirate in history, killed by a random piece of metal. Not in a sword duel. Not betrayed by his crew. Not captured and hanged. Just one projectile, wrong place, wrong millisecond. No final words. No dramatic last stand. No epic conclusion to his legend. Just instant death. The body. The crew panicked. Their invincible captain was dead, blood pooling on the deck he'd commanded for 3 years. But Roberts had prepared for this. He'd told his closest crew members his final wish: "If I'm killed in battle, throw my body overboard immediately. Don't let the Navy display me in chains. Don't let them parade my corpse." 2 men grabbed his body. Still warm. Still dressed in the red silk coat, the gold chains, the diamond cross, all the weapons. They threw him overboard. Bartholomew Roberts sank into the Atlantic Ocean wearing 3,000 pounds worth of jewelry and his magnificent red coat. The body was never recovered. The British never got their trophy. Roberts died with dignity, looking like royalty, disappearing into the depths. His crew honored him perfectly. 3 hours later. Without Roberts, the battle was already over. The crew had no leader. No one could replace him. The Royal Fortune's masts were damaged, rigging destroyed. HMS Swallow kept firing. At 1:30 p.m., 3 hours after Roberts died, the Royal Fortune surrendered. 152 pirates captured alive. 120 dead or wounded in the fighting. The Little Ranger tried to escape during the chaos. HMS Swallow pursued it the next day. Captured 120 more pirates. Total captured, 272 men. The largest mass pirate capture in history. Captain Chaloner Ogle had just ended the golden age of piracy in a single morning. The trial. March and April 1722. Cape Coast Castle, a British fort on the coast of modern Ghana. 272 pirates stood trial. The charges: piracy, murder, theft of property worth over £50,000. The evidence was overwhelming. Captured ships' logs. Testimony from dozens of victims. The pirates' own confessions. Roberts' famous Pirate Code was used as evidence of their organized criminal operation. The sentences: 52 hanged. The officers and most violent crew members. Gallows were built on the beach. Bodies displayed in iron cages as warnings. Some corpses hung for years. 77 sent to slave labor. Forced to work in Royal African Company gold mines in Africa. Essentially a death sentence. Few survived more than a year. 20 sentenced to prison. Lesser crimes. Sent to England. Life imprisonment. 70 acquitted. Proved they'd been forced into piracy. Had joined involuntarily, like Roberts himself 3 years earlier. They were released but branded on the hand. Marked forever as pirates. 54 escaped. Slipped away during transfers. Never caught. Disappeared into Africa. The British wanted to send a message. They succeeded. Piracy became too dangerous. The careers were too short. The executions too public. The golden age was over. The irony. Bartholomew Roberts built his entire legend on preparation. The red coat so blood wouldn't show. The gold chains and diamond cross for intimidation. The perfect outfit every single day. The strict code of conduct. The military discipline. The careful planning. He never drank, never gambled, never allowed chaos on his ships. He was the most professional pirate who ever lived. And he was killed by pure random chance. Not in a sword fight where skill mattered. Not betrayed by a crew member he could have prevented. Not captured through a tactical mistake he could have avoided. A random piece of grape shot. One tiny metal ball among hundreds fired from a ship 60 yards away. It could have hit anyone. It could have missed everyone. It could have hit his chest where the silk coat might have slowed it. It hit his throat instead. All the preparation. All the perfect outfits. All the discipline and planning. Meaningless. Roberts died before firing a single shot in his final battle. No famous last words. No heroic death scene. Just instant nothingness. But he did get one thing. He died looking magnificent. Red silk coat, gold chains, diamond cross. Exactly as he'd wanted. Exactly as he'd dressed every morning for 3 years. The legend lived. The body disappeared. The British never got to parade his corpse through London. In death, Roberts controlled the narrative one final time. What if? What if Roberts had run that morning? The winds were favorable. The Royal Fortune was fast. HMS Swallow had just spent hours chasing the Great Ranger. Its crew was tired, supplies depleted. Roberts could have escaped. Sailed to the Caribbean. Rebuilt his fleet. Continued raiding. But for how long? The British were hunting him specifically now. Captain Ogle had been tracking Roberts for months. More warships were coming. The Royal Navy had decided piracy was too expensive, too embarrassing. They'd committed resources to ending it. Running would have bought time. Weeks, maybe months. But Roberts was 39 years old. He'd been incredibly lucky for 3 years. The odds were closing. What if he'd retired? He'd captured enough treasure. His share was easily over £10,000, millions in today's money. He could have disappeared, bought a plantation, lived quietly. But Roberts had seen what happened to retired pirates. They drank themselves to death. Spent fortunes on nothing. Got bored and tried to return, only to be captured. Retirement was slow suicide. Roberts knew this. A merry life and a short one wasn't just a motto. It was acceptance. He chose glory over safety. Legend over life. Maybe that was always the plan. The legacy. Roberts' treasure was never found. He reportedly buried over £50,000 somewhere. The location died with him. His crew didn't know where. It might still be out there, buried on some West African beach or Caribbean island. Probably not. Most pirate treasure stories are myths. Roberts likely spent his money as he captured it, on ships, weapons, supplies, crew payments. That's how most pirates operated. But the legend persists. His code lived longer than his treasure. The articles became standard for pirates who came after. Democratic voting, equal pay shares, compensation for injuries. Roberts' rules influenced pirate culture for decades. Modern perception of pirate rules is based almost entirely on Roberts' articles. When movies show pirate captains voting on decisions, that's Roberts' legacy. When stories mention pirate codes of honor, they're echoing his system. More progressive than most nations' laws at the time. More fair than the Royal Navy, where captains were tyrants and crew were property. Black Bart became a mythical figure. 4 years after his death, his name was the most feared in maritime circles. A merry life and a short one became the unofficial pirate motto, repeated across taverns and ships for generations. Roberts influenced how we think about pirates forever. Not the chaotic, drunken criminals of reality, but organized, disciplined professionals with their own codes and honor systems. The myth overtook the man. February 10, 1722, 10:30 a.m. Bartholomew Roberts stood on the deck of the Royal Fortune in his red silk coat, watching HMS Swallow approach. He'd dressed for this moment every day for 3 years. The perfect outfit. The gold chains. The diamond cross. The image of invincibility. He believed it would protect him. Intimidate enemies. Make him unkillable. It made him a target. That red coat was visible from 60 yards away. Easy to spot. Easy to aim toward. The grape shot that killed him might have missed a man in plain clothes. But the magnificent figure in crimson silk? That was where you aimed. Roberts' greatest weapon killed him. He'd captured 470 ships. Terrorized 3 continents. Built the most efficient pirate operation in history. created rules that revolutionized how crews operated, lived by a code more honorable than most legitimate sailors. And he died in less than a second. Random metal. Wrong place. No time to think, speak, or act. The math was simple. 3 years of perfection, 1 moment of chaos. The irony was complete. The man who controlled everything died by pure chance. It was already too late the moment he decided to fight. The moment he chose pride over survival. The moment he believed the legend he'd built. They were doomed from 8 a.m. when Roberts saw that sail on the horizon and sent the Great Ranger to investigate. They just didn't know it yet.